Hi, this is today's session on API security for enterprises. I am Prabhat Kumar Singh, founder and creator for Solid Studio. In this session, we'll learn about how to secure your enterprise API gateways. So first of all, what is enterprise security? So for that, let's let's understand what is enterprise security. So enterprise security is about could be many things. Primarily, it's about this infrastructure security, audit and monitoring, authentication, authorization for your applications or your internal accesses, and access control into your infrastructure, IT infrastructure, or physical infrastructure. So both kind of access control, encryption and masking, which is about the data in rest or data in motion, all kinds of data. How are you encrypting? How are you masking your reports? All those things, and then network security. How is your network being secure? Right? In this scenario of enterprise security, uh, what we provide is we focus on API security. That what is API security? So our company, Solid, has developed a tool, a set of tools to firstly discover that what is vulnerable in your enterprise IT, what what are the open areas, what are the threat areas, and those both combined, threat and vulnerabilities combined, is a risk. That is also called cybersecurity risk. And we assess that, and then we create a solution depending on what kind of scenarios have been discovered. We create a solution that how can you secure your API gateways. And in the current scenario of enterprise cloud, the access to APIs have increased a lot because now most of the organization is remote now. So organizations previously, before COVID, used to be in one building or across the globe, and their IT used to be accessed through VPN, right? And those used to be more secure than the current scenario. In the current scenario, you have a scenario where all your employees are working from home, and these working from home employees are accessing your systems, even like in scenarios where so in the screen I'm sharing a sample because I cannot share too much, but this is an exploit screen of Kali Linux, which we use to discover vulnerabilities in any kind of network. And we generally are seeing that even in SSL or HTTPS, secure socket layer, it is possible to understand that what the package contents are. Not the great detail, but at least a pattern can be discovered. And if someone with prying eyes wants to find out a pattern of weakness, it can be discovered, right? So what we have built is a solution which secures such APIs using blockchain. And we'll show you how. The idea is that, so this is our state-of-the-art blockchain security for APIs. So on one side, you have enterprise, on one side, other side, you have consumers. And in the new state-of-the-art, the blockchain becomes a conduit for identity and workflow, that how the enterprise data should flow to consumers. Like without this, in the current scenario, this is happening through obfuscation, which is like trying to hide something crucial under too much of jargon or too much of obscurity. Right? So that is also a security phenomena, that hiding something in obscurity is also security, but obviously that's a last resort, right? Now, other mechanisms of hiding or securing things is firstly authentication, like you authenticate that who the end user is, and that is good. That works well for most of the API securities, right? So the thing which doesn't work very well is the identity, or how are you metering your access to the end user, right? And that's where blockchain can play a role to create a newer kind of security paradigm on APIs, that how enterprises access to the end user. So coming to uh, so I'll just now jump on to a demo of how we build it, and I'll just share my screen for this. So this is Solid Studio. Here I will give you a brief introduction because this is a completely new system. In Solid Studio, the whole purpose of Studio is to build workflows on blockchain. And how we do it is through a set of tools, and these tools are basically categorized in 5 areas. You have front-end tools where you can create apps. So I'll start from the basics. So first, the very basic element of any workflow is screen and scripts. The screens are like what end user elements you want to show for any workflow to an end user or to an internal user, right? So workflows would consist of screens and scripts. So scripts are JavaScript or Python script. We support both languages currently. Then these are some of the workflows already implemented. These are without screen. So this is a Radish 34 implementation of baseline protocol. And I can show you how this looks. Yeah, this is loading. Yeah. So this is Radish 34 implemented, and it is Radish 34 is a connectivity between two systems, Microsoft Dynamics CRM and Google Sheets for a purchase order request for an RFP process, where one party from Microsoft Dynamics wants to buy something from a vendor, and they create an invoice using MS Dynamics, and then that request flows to the blockchain request flows to the Google Sheets, then Google Sheet responds, that flows to the blockchain, and that flows to
Prabha, are you sharing a screen? I'm not able to see anything. I'm
oh,
still seeing old screen, the website URL.
okay. Let me share again. Thank you. I think I was sharing the desktop too, and the whole thing is being shared. Now you see?
Yeah, now I see this. Yeah. So
Okay.
you might want to restart, yeah, from the beginning. Yeah.
Okay, so this is the Radish 34 implementation between two systems, Microsoft Dynamics and Google Sheets. So the process is RFP process where someone in Microsoft Dynamics generates an invoice, uh, a request, a purchase order request, not the invoice. And that flows to the blockchain, and through blockchain, it flows to the Google Sheets. From Google Sheet, the vendor inputs the price that what price and the vendor wants to offer that item, and that flows to Microsoft Dynamics. And then after the approval process, this flows back to the Google Sheet if the award, if the RFP has been awarded. And this is the process which basically is the pilot for baseline protocol. The baseline guys have developed or deployed it using the the blockchain protocol embedded in the Golang repository of Ethereum. What we have done here is implemented this as a top layer above Ethereum, and at this layer we provide access to the end users that they can define that what applications will go to which blockchain, and from the blockchain response, what what the response is and how should they be captured and then sent to which direction, right? So this is a very prime example of Microsoft Dynamics APIs linking to blockchain. And from here, the consumer side, say here the Google Sheet is a consumer, it won't know that which API has been giving the input. It can only access this API through this blockchain only if it has been allowed to, right? So there's a whole process. I'll show you how that is done. So there's a whole process of partnership approval that the Microsoft Dynamics API side is approving Google Sheet as a consumer side for this API, right? And that process gives this kind of access. So creating a workflow is one part, then you have to approve those partners, and this whole system goes. So this is an example of how you can create a permissioned API. Here, the API of Microsoft Dynamics, as well as the APIs of Google Sheets, both are permissioned now through blockchain. And this permissioning creates a kind of security, which is like encrypted. So data is encrypted. You can program if you also want anonymity and privacy. That also can, like, you can just change the smart contract and it's done, right? So this is that easy to do on the blockchain. If you have to do the same thing in the Salesforce and Microsoft Dynamics CRM integration, you will have to code a whole lot of things there. So blockchain provides you that easiness to create these kind of integrations right out of the box. And that's the benefit here. Now, so I'll show you how this blockchain is integrated. So we have in our implementation of Solid, we create smart contracts. And this is one smart contract out of three, which is allocated for this particular node of bid, right? And every smart contract will have certain functions. So when a blockchain is acting as a terminal and terminal, then we have to select that which function of this smart contract will be used to create this linkage, right? And then again, everything else should also match that the output coming from Microsoft Dynamics is suitable for as an input for the blockchain bid or not, right? And if it is not, then you can add a task layer, a script task, and script will convert data from A format to B format out of the box, right? So that is also easy to do from the front end. So from front end, you can do almost everything regarding integration of two systems. Now, other question which often is asked, that why blockchain, right? You can do this using anything like existing, right? So I'll show you how. So let's say that I create a Microsoft Dynamics API link, and I select the API of Dynamics here, right? And I just name it so that I know which blocks is what. Link to for PO raised. And I add a simple, I directly connect this to Google Sheets, right? I have a CRM hook, which is connected to the Google Sheet, and I name it so that I can see. Now, instead of making this 1, 2, 3, 4 hop connection, I can connect directly Microsoft Dynamics to Google Sheets. Now, everything which is generated on Microsoft Dynamics can now directly flow to Google Sheets, right? There is no blockchain in between. What is the difference here? This versus that. So the difference, the biggest difference is that um, security. So here, Microsoft Dynamics is directly being accessed to by Google Sheet end user, right? So that company is aware of your endpoints, right? That's the biggest. Second is about metering. This access is unfettered, right? There is nothing in between stopping the access control and identity control, that who is going to access what kind of access. No, you are not giving or preventing that from happening. So everything is getting accessed, and they can access multiple times. They can access for anything. They can test your connection. And most of the connections in the current world, say for city banking, open API, are unfettered, right? So everything is accessible from outside. You can test account balance n number of times for any customer who is in that program, right? So that is the second biggest difference is unfettered access. So blockchain, adding a blockchain creates that benefit, right? Third, that you don't even need Solid Studio for this, right? Microsoft Dynamics has its own API. Google Sheets has its own consumer endpoint, and without Solid, you can connect to uh, in your respective systems, right? But adding a blockchain endpoint creates that ability. Now, suppose if you add blockchain in this part, you have the capability that you can give this endpoint signature to anybody who wants access using Salesforce, who wants access using, say, any other, say, Sugar CRM, right? And this thing will work. But in this scenario, we'll have to write custom access for everything. So here in scenario one of blockchain-based access, you are creating a, a blockchain smart contract, which is controlling the identity, and second, controlling the workflow, at how these things should flow outside your organization but still be secure, right? That's the biggest difference of having a blockchain. Now you can have these things built in any integration, right? And the problem is more at the border of the organizations where they want to go outside and connect outside, right? In your internal organization, things are fine. You can have access to API and all that. There also, this creates a much better scenario, because if an IT change happens, right, in this scenario, the changes are more on front end. So making a new kind of connection or new changing things, how the information is flowing, is more of front end oriented work. Whereas in this scenario of Microsoft Dynamics and Google CRM linking up directly, right? You'll have to change the integrations every time. And if even if you're using Studio, you can still create a workflow, right? That is also possible, that you can add a logic gateway that if the purchase order is of certain type and fulfill certain conditions, then only send this to this kind of vendor. So you can set all those criteria as well. But in blockchain, if you do it blockchain based identity and workflow, those conditions can be in smart contract, right? And second, the third thing, which is that these smart contracts need not run on Ethereum or any token. These all can be cryptoless. These can run in Hyperledger, which is a cryptoless blockchain or by IBM, right? Or Ethereum, which is the POS, proof of stake mode, right? Or also uh, there are other modes which is cryptoless, right? So In those modes, these won't consume any token. You won't have to worry about distributing tokens and all. Or you can have tokens and distribute it internally for your own purposes, that to any vendor, right? That how many calls they can make, and those tokens will act as a gateway. At how many calls they are making. Nobody can make more calls than they're allowed already, right? The biggest then the biggest advantage of that kind of metered access is that your IT is just controlling the token flow, and the access gets controlled automatically using the blockchain rules. And so your IT systems don't have to scale with the scale of calls coming from outside. Right? So that's another advantage. And these are these are the key areas which are going to be impacted by blockchain. Uh, the the non-hyped blockchain so far, and the blockchain has come from a lot of peaks and cups, where you had a hype about blockchain, the token economy, and all that. Right now, now we are seeing the right use cases of blockchain. People are talking about more practical use cases, that how blockchain can impact um, the real business, the real brick and mortar, right? And API security, workflow, right? Creating collaborative environment, because actually the whole purpose of microarchitecture like blockchain and cloud has been to make organizations more nimble and more faster. And more nimble, more faster means that they are more adaptable to change. And change means innovation, change means collaboration, right? And a very good crucial angle which I have seen in organizations of big sizes, that this collaboration is in both types. So you want to collaborate with small startups, right? And collaborating with small startups starts with opening up your IT, some part of IT. And that's why few banks which are open are having more startups working with them, and they are launching more fintech ready products. Whereas other banks who are very closed in their IT, they don't have enough capabilities currently to deploy microarchitecture. They are not able to adapt, and they are not so responsive now to the current scenario of fintechs and all that. Right. So that is one. The other side of collaboration is big organization collaborating with one another. Right. So you have Star Alliance, for example, which is an partnership between the big airlines of the world. Now, in this Star Alliance, right? Um, so if you read certain articles, it has been very costly to come this far for Star Alliance, right? And they are one example where they are running big programs, Star Reward programs and all that, where if you travel by one airline, you get rewarded points which can be used across, right? Now, creating that Star Alliance IT system, which is again something inside every organization, and some part of that IT is in the Star Alliance as a company, which is running all the program. This is costly. This is similar to what the banking industry has as Swift. Swift is a company which provides messaging across different banks or financial companies. These are costly integrations, right? These integrations create a new giant company. How about integrations in 21st century now, right? The new integrations are have to be so nimble that it can be created just by just by some few good companies coming together with an idea, or few startups coming together with an idea under one umbrella, right? Such collaborations or IT system integrations are possible if your APIs are secure and robust. Don't have to worry about opening up your APIs and then worrying about security, right? These two things are currently not possible. If you open too much, and obviously the IT security becomes a risk, right? If you don't open too much, you're not very collaborative. You won't be able to launch and fuse your offerings with other companies' offerings and create a new product. That's why opening is important, but it has to be in certain way that it doesn't put you at risk. And that's where the Solid Studio can create an environment where you can bring different kinds of APIs, put a smart contract in front of them, right? And that creates a very strong, very secure organization. And then create new products. It's that simple with Solid Studio. And that is the power of blockchain. There's no magic behind this. It's simple. Our smart contracts are on GitHub, and it has. I'll show you how our GitHub is. Yeah, we have open sourced two of our smart contracts, Hub contract and Pop contract. Right. Hub contract is a generic contract with which anybody, any company can create uh, an offering for, uh, for on blockchain, right? So this is an upgradable contract. We use Open Zeppelin, and it is upgradable. So you, with time, if you find any thing which is not right or may be a problem, you can change it, and that's why upgradables were built, right? So this contract has all the generic functions to operate as a company, operate your APIs on blockchain, right? And second contract, which we have open source, is a pub contract, is a public contract, which acts as an identity. This is what we call identity creator, and you can adapt this to suit your needs. This contract we created to serve few of our clients who wanted to operate a public transit company on blockchain, right? And also for few of the public welfare units in the government organization. So it it maintains a very basic identity of any user on the blockchain, and the blockchain can be any blockchain, which is Ethereum based, right? So any blockchain can run these contracts, and you can adapt it for any other flavor. These are solidity based contracts. You can convert them to truffle or any of your favorite platforms, right? Now other parts of this, right? So here I have removed the, I think I've removed, but yeah, here I have removed the actual APIs. So these are not your actual APIs for security reasons, right? And this creates this enlisted API, so you can enlist all your APIs whichever you want to secure, right? All your APIs here, all your hooks. If you want to consume again outside, right, you can add hooks. So in this workflow, there are certain hooks. So this blockchain call going to Google Sheet is a hook, right? So incoming is API, outgoing is a hook. And yeah, then blockchain, the most important piece. You can add partners here. You can decide that which company or which address you want to add as partner under which contract. So we have an admin contract. You can also add partners in the hub contract. You cannot add partners in the pub contract, right? So this shows, but obviously this will not deploy if you try to. Again, blockchain container, we have 3 blockchains deployed on our Siberian node, and this acts as a conduit of flow of all information. You can add nodes. Currently, we provide you a test node of Siberium for running all your use cases. You can add any node of almost any type, EVM type or BTS type. So even if you want to run smart contracts on Bitcoin, which is script. So they are not so powerful contract as EVM, Ethereum contract, but they are still good for their own purpose. So you can add nodes here, add the endpoint. So our cloud will manage the endpoint. We'll call the endpoint, right? And you can add your own syndicate. So syndicate are basically your own blockchain keys. Um, Again, depending on, currently we support only two master chain syndicates of Siberian. Uh, Based on your demand, we can add more. We are planning to add Ethereum. But if you don't want to add syndicates here, you can still run smart contracts on any blockchain by directly adding a node, right? And then you can add keys. You can also host remote keys. For that, you have to have your own signing server, right? So then you can add your own remote key. Just change it to remote, and then you can add the URL. All transactions will be signed by the signing server. We won't have the private keys, so that's also a need at few times where we not having private keys is better, right? In terms of trust and reliability. And then you can add organization and tags. So this is basically how you can create a very secure permissioned API on blockchain. So I'd love to have your questions. You can send us your questions in our Gitter chat, or you can message us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, LinkedIn, wherever you want. And that's it for now.